Hi there. Tonight I'm going to make a soup that maybe you've never tried before, but you may like to try it after you see this one. I'm going to use a corned beef brisket, some mirepoix, carrots, celery, and onions. And I'm going to take some dry pinto beans. These have just been rinsed but not soaked or cooked at all. About 2 cups. And some collard greens. I'm going to cook them in the Elite pressure cooker. This is the extra large one. And I'm going to start by getting the vegetables cooking, and we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. The brisket is a small one. It's only like 2.5 pounds. And I'm going to cut it up into chunks so that when the soup is opened up, it'll be ready to eat. Okay, I just put the pressure cooker on warm for now, just to get the thing to start warming up. But I'm going to add the vegetables for the mirepoix first. Sliced up onions and celery and shredded carrots. I'm not really going to cook them first. I just want to get the pot warmed up so it's ready to start cooking when we turn it on to the higher mode. Next I'm going to add 2 cups of uncooked dry beans. I did rinse these very well, and you really should rinse them and make sure there's no stones and that all the dirt is off. And when you do rinse them, you'll see how much dirt actually does come off. So make sure you rinse them real good, because at this point we're going to eat the soup that comes from cooking them. So let's pour in 2 cups of dry beans, pinto beans, or something that you like better than pinto beans. That's my favorite. Then I have a 1-pound bag of collard greens, and I'm not going to use all of it. This is pre-washed, and I'm just going to add a good couple handfuls there. You can hear the sizzle in there. It's actually starting to cook the veggies on the bottom of this pan. And then I'm going to take the brisket and cut it into nice bite-sized chunks. Now there is a nice sized chunk of fat on the bottom. I want to make sure that most of the fat is cut off of this before we put it into the pot. Because what we get left with is the soup the broth and everything that we're going to eat. So normally you wouldn't do this to a corned beef, but then normally you wouldn't make soup out of it either. So have some fun with it. Take chunks like this. Remove the fat that you can see. And toss them in on the greens. This kind of reminds me of making like ham and bean soup, but some other flavors. Even these chunks will still fall apart after they're cooked in the pressure cooker, but at least we won't have to take out any big chunks of meat, and it will also cook faster. Now we're going to use the setting on beans, and really what we want to cook this for is probably longer than most of the things that we make. We're going to make sure it's cooking for a total of like 40 minutes. This is where the fat is on the bottom. I'm going to make sure we get all that fat off of there. Mess around with that. Okay, I'm going to add the rest of the chunks of corned beef brisket. And then this is what it looks like in here. We'll mix everything up a little bit. It's starting to cook on the bottom in the warm mode. Just have a little bit of browning going on there with the carrots, celery, and onions on the bottom. But now we have a nice mixture here. I'm going to And I'm going to add some water. Now normally we would add maybe 2 cups of water for some of our cooking, but I'm going to add 6 cups this time because we want soup when we're done here, and a little extra water is going to become our broth. So you can see that the broth is not covering the vegetables yet, but of course the collard greens will cook down, and we're not going to add a lot of seasoning to this because the corned beef brisket has plenty of extra flavors in it from the process that's used to make it a corned beef. Okay, so we're going to put the lid on and set this. As I put the lid on, you could hear that it went into the lock mode. I'm going to take this off of the keep warm, and I'm going to start cooking this on the bean setting. The bean setting, cooking for 40 minutes in water like this, will take care of making the beans soft and delicious to eat. It will infuse all the flavors from the corned beef, and the 1-inch chunks of corned beef will cook in 40 minutes. If we're cooking a whole piece of corned beef that's like 4 pounds, we're going to need to cook it like 90 minutes, but in the small chunks this should work out just fine for the soup that we're putting together right now. Okay, this will come to pressure, cook for 40 minutes, and then we'll be back to check on it. Okay, now I allowed the steam to escape naturally here, so it should be just about out. And I did that because of the beans, cooking the beans really. I wanted to make sure that they were going to be nice and soft in the recipe. So it sounds like it's pretty much out. Let's just make sure. Alright, we'll open the pot. Ooh, nice. Smells delicious. Let's take a look inside. Collard greens are nice and tender. The meat and the beans have mixed. And we have the carrots. Oh, I've got too much steam here in the picture for you to see. Look how nice they look. This is a nice, delicious looking soup. And the broth looks pretty hearty too. Let's take a look at that. Doesn't that look great? Let's put some in a bowl and see what it looks like. See how the chunks are just perfect size. They fell apart a little bit more. So if you've never tried making corned beef soup, go ahead and try it. Use your pressure cooker. And I think you'll find it to be a very nice hearty soup and very tasty.